train is coming. 5 people are tied to the track. They cannot move. They cannot escape. In a few seconds, all 5 of them will die. But you are standing beside a lever. If you pull it, the train changes direction. The 5 people survive. But on the second track, there is one person. And if you pull the lever, that one person dies instead. So here is the question. Do you do nothing and let 5 people die? Or do you pull the lever and choose one death to save 5? This is one of the most famous moral questions in philosophy. It is called the trolley problem. And at first, it looks like a question about trains. But it is not. It is a question about you, about what you value, about what kind of harm you can live with, and about how much guilt you are willing to carry. The trolley problem forces 2 ideas to collide. One idea says, the best choice is the one that creates the best outcome. Save the most people, reduce the most suffering, choose the result that does the least damage. But another idea says, some actions are wrong, even when they lead to a better result, because a human being should never be treated like a tool. So the question becomes deeper. Is morality about the outcome or the action? Now imagine a different version. The same train is coming. The same 5 people are tied to the track. They still cannot escape. But this time, there is no lever. Instead, you are standing on a bridge above the railway. Next to you is a large man. If you push him off the bridge, he will fall onto the track. The train will hit him. He will die. But his body will stop the train. And the 5 people on the track will survive. So now, do you push him? The result is exactly the same. 1 person dies, 5 people live. The numbers did not change. The outcome did not change. The logic did not change. But this time, most people say no. They would pull the lever, but they would not push the man. And that is where the trolley problem becomes disturbing, because suddenly the same moral math feels completely different. So what changed? Not the number of lives, not the danger, not the final result. What changed was your relationship to the harm. When you pull a lever, the death feels distant. You are not touching the person. You are not looking into their eyes. You are not physically forcing them into danger. You are interacting with a machine. And because of that distance, the choice feels like a calculation. 5/1. Save the majority, reduce the damage. But when you push a person, there is no distance. There is only your hand, their body, and the moment you decide to use one life as a tool to save others. This is why the problem is so powerful. It does not let anyone leave clean. If you pull the lever, you cause one person's death. If you do nothing, 5 people die. You did not tie them to the track. You did not drive the train. You did not create the danger. But you were there. You saw what was coming. You had the power to change it, and you chose not to. So are you innocent? Or are you simply less involved? Most of us fear direct guilt. If we push someone, it feels like our fault. If we pull a lever, it feels slightly less like our fault. If we do nothing, it can feel even less like our fault. Because doing nothing gives us a story. I did not cause it. I only watched it happen. It was the train. It was the situation. It was fate. But that story becomes harder to believe when 5 people are dead. And your hand was inches away from the lever. This is not just philosophy. We live with smaller versions of this problem all the time. A doctor has 1 organ and 2 patients who need it. A rescue team has time to save only 1 group. A leader must choose between protecting 1 community or protecting many. A judge must decide whether mercy for 1 person could create danger for others. Even ordinary life has quiet versions of the lever. Do you tell the truth now and hurt someone? Or stay silent and allow a bigger problem to grow? Do you help 1 person deeply or help many people a little? Do you act or do you look away? The problem becomes even harder when the people on the tracks stop being strangers. What if the 1 person is your brother? Would you still pull the lever? What if the 5 people are criminals? Would you still save them? What if the 1 person is a child? What if the 1 person could save thousands of lives later? What if the person alone on the second track was you? Would the math still feel simple? Or would morality change when the number being sacrificed had your face? Maybe the trolley problem was never meant to be solved. Maybe it was meant to show us that impossible choices cannot be made clean. Real life rarely gives us perfect moral stories. Sometimes the logical choice feels inhuman. Sometimes the merciful choice allows more suffering. Sometimes doing the right thing still leaves someone harmed. And sometimes every available choice leaves a shadow. That is what the trolley problem reveals. Not whether you are good or bad, but what kind of guilt you are willing to carry. The guilt of acting, or the guilt of standing still. The guilt of sacrificing one, or the guilt of losing 5. So the next time you hear the question, do not rush to answer it. Imagine the lever in your hand. Imagine the 5 people on the track. Imagine there's one person alone. Then imagine the bridge. Imagine the person beside you. Imagine what it would feel like to push. And ask yourself, why does one version feel different from the other? Because the most frightening question is not simply, would you pull the lever? It is not even, would you push the man? The real question is, how much distance do you need before one person's death starts to feel acceptable? And after the train passes, which version of yourself would you have to live with?